Okay, so it's, hi Sarah, hi Terry, hi Jim. All right, so it's a couple minutes past 3, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you're just joining us now, you are joining the Reopening and Recovery Workplace Safety Panel. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This webinar is brought to you by the West Business Development Center. We are a nonprofit organization funded by the Small Business Administration, the SBA, and we host 2 centers. We host the Women's Business Center and we host the Small Business Development Center for Mendocino and Lake County. And here you can see the centers represented there. Now, West is funded through local California state and government grants. In exchange for those grants, we provide free one-on-one counseling, free webinars, and loan readiness packets. Now, our goal is to help all businesses, small businesses, and entrepreneurs alike through every stage of business development, and we do that through our free confidential business services, the one-on-one counseling, the low-cost workshops, and the webinars like the one you're joining today. If you're interested in becoming a client or learning more about West Business Development Center and our services, you can visit our website, www.westcenter.org, and hit the bright Get Started button in the top corner. Now, my name is Clara Shook. I am the event coordinator with West Business Development Center. Very excited for this webinar. I do want to let everyone know that we are recording this webinar, and in about 2 days or so, I'll be able to email the recording to everyone, so you don't have to take any notes or anything. You can just sit back, relax, enjoy, ask questions as they come up. We'll answer as time permits, and there will be a Q&A at the end. Also, at the end, there will be a poll, so make sure to stay until the very end of the presentation so you can answer those poll questions for us, which really help us in developing new webinars, getting you the material that you, the small business owners and entrepreneurs, are looking for and need. And it also really helps with our funding, so we can keep providing free resources like this one. So without further ado, I'd like to hand off this webinar to our first panelist and our main instructor for today, Allison DeGrassi. Take it away, Allison. Allison, you're on mute. So if you go ahead and unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you, Clara. Sorry about that goof, everybody. So grateful to see so many people here from different industries and business sectors, and welcome Supervisor Hashchak. Thank you for joining us today. So this webinar is about safety in the workplace. As we know, we've been challenged over the past few months, and we will continue to be challenged by COVID-19 and the impact on all kinds of business sectors. And while you may have been following OSHA guidelines or industry guidelines for your business sector, the COVID-19 crisis adds a whole new level and layer of complexity. So this session today will walk you through the whys and whats of safe business practices. And I've decided we'll do a live demo, we hope this works, of how you can go onto the website at www.mendocinocountrybusiness.org and self-certify your business. So without further ado, we will move ahead. And so the first question is, why do we have workplace safety? Well, there's so much we don't know about coronavirus and its impact on our communities and people. But what we do know is that it is virulent and it spreads very easily and it's insidious. So implementing safety in the workplace is really the first call of duty of a business owner. And why is that? It inspires confidence in consumers and the community. Clara, could you move forward to the next slide? And it tells people that you understand the dangers and are prepared to do what you can to keep everyone safe. I'm not sure why that slide doesn't show up, but c'est la vie. Oh, there you go. One of the things I listened to a couple of weeks ago was an interview on Fresh Air. I imagine many of you are familiar with that great radio show with Terry Gross. If you have time, and we'll pop this into the chat at some point, check out a really informative interview with epidemiologist Dr. Michael Osterholm. It's really fascinating, and you will learn a lot about COVID-19. Some of it pretty grim. So where are we? We have a resilience roadmap for the state, and the County of Mendocino is following that roadmap. We are now in stage 3, which has permitted higher risk businesses to open. And the way we got there is by attesting to our readiness. With having an OptumServe mobile testing unit and fulfilling various other obligations that the state imposed on the county. So I think it was on June 19th, higher risk businesses such as hair salons and barbershops, transient lodging, tattoo parlors, personal care services were permitted to open, but with caveats. They must self-certify, and they must upload a health and safety plan to the Mendocino County Business.org website. Clara, you want to move ahead? And this is where we are now. Actually, we could go to the next slide. So what is workplace safety? We ensure the safety of, number one, yourself, your employees and independent contractors, and any temporary workers you may have at your place of business, customers and clients, the workplace itself, and safety for the greater community. And those are all really important pieces of the puzzle, the safety puzzle. So let's dive into some of those. So on the next slide, we'll talk about safety for employees. So perhaps your employees have been furloughed and are preparing to return to work. They've spent the last few months at home, feeling safe and comfortable, and now they have to face the general public. They may be very, very nervous about that. So before you do anything, is to tell them the steps that you've taken to ensure their safety in the workplace. And then you need to train them in certain aspects of COVID-19 and safety practices. They need to recognize the signs of COVID-19, which are cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fever, chills, muscle pain, sore throat, or loss of taste or smell. They need to understand what personal protective equipment is and how to use it, how to replace it and when to replace it. If you have disposable masks, they should be replaced every day. Maybe gloves are important to what your employees, their duties at work. And maybe they're not so important. Gloves are a kind of, some people use them, some people don't. The importance of not coming into work when people are sick. They should stay at home, and there are new guidelines, employee guidelines about giving employees sick leave so that they can stay home when they're sick and not feel that they have to come into work. The importance of frequent hand washing, and how to use a self-assessment tool. There's a really good one at the Mayo Clinic. And it's just a short questionnaire that employees can use in place of having a temperature check in the workplace, just to fill out every day so that they get used to that rhythm of checking in with themselves. So the next slide is regarding safety of customers and clients. They're your bread and butter. Without them, your business is no business. So you need to keep them safe so that they will return. And actually, I have a little anecdote about that. I was in Mendocino last weekend and went into a restaurant to get something to go. And it was very gratifying to see signage. Everybody was wearing a mask. The proprietor washed her hands, I'm going to say 3 or 4 times while I was in the store, which was for a very short time. So that inspired confidence in me to be able to say, I can go back to that place and feel comfortable. So you need to post signage in your workplace that regarding the use of masks, and which is a state of California mandate. They are required in enclosed spaces and when physical distancing of more than 6 feet is not attainable. You need to post signage about asking people not to enter in the event they're sick. You need to post your health and safety protocols and plan, and your self-certification. And one other thing is to limit entry into the facility. So if your occupancy level is, say, at the best of times, 100 people, maybe you need to limit that to 50%. So you would have somebody assigned, much like they do at Harvest Market when it's busy, making sure that people exit and then so that other people can enter. The County of Mendocino has signage. We can go to the next slide, please. They have signage on their website in Spanish and English regarding 3 items. Don't enter if you feel sick, you must wear a face covering, and you must practice social distancing. And those are available at the MendocinoCountyBusiness.org website and on the coronavirus portion of the county, MendocinoCounty.org website. So safety of the workplace. So this involves your sanitation and cleaning practices, having hand sanitizer and wipes available for you and your employees, your customers and clients, making sure your employees don't share equipment. And if they do have to, that a protocol is in place for them to wipe down the equipment after every use. Clean high traffic areas such as doorknobs, entryways. If you can, set a separate entry and exit to your facility so that people aren't routed in and out together, but go around the store. Make sure your supplies are always well stocked so you don't run out of wipes and hand sanitizer and those kinds of objects. And consider, if you have the staff, consider having somebody on staff to make sure that these tasks are carried out on a regular basis. And so those are some general guidelines. We'll get into some more specific guidelines a little further on. So, safety of the greater community. Your business is part of the fabric of this community, whether you're coastal, inland, north coast, south coast, wherever you are in Mendocino County. And the community relies on you to practice health and safety guidelines. So get your signs up, put your physical distancing markers in, and if you can, move things outside. Tasting rooms are a great example of that. They've been, one of the guidelines there is to try and move everything outside if possible. Obviously, if it's pouring with rain, that's a difficult situation, but we have some good weather here. A little too hot inland today, I think, but generally speaking, trying to put things outside is a great idea because science tells us that COVID is less virulent when it's outside, when people are outside. And then again, assign an employee to monitor the number of people in your workplace. So how to make your workplace safe? The County of Mendocino has, in conjunction with West, put into place a website, www.mendocinocountybusiness.org. So the site contains a variety of pieces of information. It contains lower risk business recommended practices. So those are businesses that don't need to file a health and safety plan. This includes restaurants, childcare, automobile dealerships, manufacturing, various other lower risk industries. There are forms that higher risk industries in business sectors must complete to create their own health and safety plan. Just a caveat there is that businesses can also create their own health and safety plan, but it must meet certain guidelines. There's a self-certification questionnaire and a list of businesses that have self-certified. So if you want to know who has filed a health and safety plan, you can go on that website and check them out, and you can download the plans and read them if you are so inclined. There are English and Spanish documents, so we're bilingual as much as we can on those documents and recommendations. Links to the official county signage, and links to further resources like the state of California. So let's see. I think what we'll do here, I'm going to depart from the slide deck here and actually walk you through how to go on the website and self-certify your business. And what we'll do, I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me because I'm a novice at this. And hit share. And I hope you can see my screen. Yeah. Okay, so here is the MendocinoCountyBusiness.org website. And there's all kinds of great fun things to read on here. First of all, there are simple steps to achieve compliance. So you can review the Safe Operations Business Checklist, which is over here somewhere. There we are. And then you can select your industry sector, upload your plan, and complete the self-certification. So we'll go through the self-certification because I think this might be interesting for you. So we'll pick, here we go. So you can download, first of all, decide who you are. Are you a campground? Do you have a shooting range or archery facility? Are you a hair salon, movie theater, what have you? So first pick your sector, and you can download that to your desktop. Of course, it's a slow website today. And you'll see on here that there are various questions that need to be completed or responded to. I advise you to go and download the state guidelines for your particular business sector by clicking the link in the document, and also the current public health order for Mendocino County. Right now we're up to June 19th, and I believe there will be a new order on July 3rd. And then the facial coverings order, just in case you want to review that. So, okay, so I have already obviously done this. So I'm going to go to complete the self-certification. So I'm going to click my industry, and I am choosing transient lodging because I have a vacation rental. And then I want to upload my safe business operating plan, which is on my desktop. And let's hope I can do this. And excuse me, I'm going to have to figure out where that is on my desktop. There we go. And I can just drag that into here, and that uploads. So that's sitting in there. So I'm going to put my business name, which is Bridge House. You have to have your business license number, so make sure you have that handy as you go through this process. I obviously don't know my business license number, so I'm just going to put a fake one in, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My name. whoops, misspelled it, but that's okay. My phone number, email. I think everybody knows my email. Probably everybody in the county knows my email by now. I don't have a business website. I do have an address though. Oops. Now you can all write to me too. I'm in California, obviously, 95410. And there's this acknowledgement that you need to read and click to acknowledge that you have read it and understood it. So then click next. And this is a series of, we're going to go through 3 steps here where you answer these questions. So I don't have any employees because I have a vacation rental. It's just me and my husband. So I'm going to click NA for that, not applicable. But I have done some reorganization for 6-foot distancing just to make my neighbors happy. So I'm going to click yes. I have an alternate protocol in place for this one. Of goods and services offered online, it's not applicable to me. Now, if you were a retail let's say, not retail because you wouldn't have to upload a plan, but if you have a business that does offer products and services online, you would click yes there. This is, again, not applicable. And yes, I have limited the number of people because there's a limit on the number of people who can stay in a vacation rental at this time. Any kind of transient lodging has that limit. So then click next. And we're going to go to daily monitoring of employee health requirements. So again, for me, this is not applicable. For Brian and Jim, it may be. Now, I'm going to say that here, I'm going to click yes, because I use a cleaning service for my vacation rental. And I'm requiring my cleaner to use a mask. And I'm going to post, I have signage posted at both entrances. This is also not applicable. But yes, they do wear protective equipment. So click next. This one is about safe business practices requirements, communicates and educates employees and management to carry out mitigation plans and protocols. Well, yes, because I created my own protocol plan. I make hand sanitizer available throughout my house, actually, wipe down everything. And I'm actually going to give some training to our housekeeping crew to make sure that they know exactly what to do. And then, so with that, it's a pretty straightforward process. You just click submit, and we just really hope this goes well. Right here, you get a little box that says, please download and print your certificate here. So click, and you will get a certificate, Mendocino Safe. You can download it, print it out, complete your business name and the issue date, and post in your place of business. So it's a pretty straightforward process, and I've stopped sharing my screen, so I think we're back to the slide deck, perhaps. Oh, there we go. So in the slide deck, you can refer to all these steps. I thought it'd be more fun to do something live rather than just going through and yet another slide deck. But all the steps are listed. I used a hair salon as an example. So one of the things that I mentioned is, for me, I used the form that we developed to create my own health and safety plan, but you can create your own plan. You can, Clara, if you go to the next slide, the one that says specific health and safety form, this slide has, actually it's not that one, excuse me. It's actually, keep going. Okay, here you go. It's slide number, it's complete the form. So it's slide number 20. This is an example of a business that created their own form. They decided they would do it their own way, and it's perfectly fine to do that as long as you read the guidelines and understand them before uploading your form and creating it, obviously. Let me see. So this is all to do with the self-certification. So at the end of this, Clara, let's go to slide, sorry, people, 26. Once your plan is uploaded, there's a 24-hour lag time between uploading it and it posting on the website. So check back after 24 hours, and if for some reason your plan is not listed, you'll either get a call or email from the county, or you will you may have picked the wrong business sector for your particular operation, which happens, and you'll just get the opportunity to upload your plan again. So and then there's some resources on slide 27 that you should go to. It has the county variances, it's the state of California guidelines, MendocinoCountyBusiness.org, and also check out the novel coronavirus site at MendocinoCounty.org. Now I'm going to turn this over to my panelists, Jim Roberts and Brian Atkinson, who have 2 properties in Anderson Valley, the Madrones and the Brambles, and that in itself is not so unusual. What is unusual, that sets them apart a bit, is the fact that not only do they have lodging, they have a retail store, they have a cannabis dispensary, they have spa services and a restaurant, all on one site. So I thought it might be insightful to have them talk about some of the challenges that they have come across in creating different plans for their different businesses, and things like how they're keeping their employees safe, what the most difficult part of the new procedures were, etc. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Brian and Jim.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Allison, and welcome everybody. We've been going through this process with our first businesses, which were actually the retail businesses. And those were some of the first that were allowed to certify or self-certify. So those we got online pretty quickly. But we're still going through the process with some of our other businesses. So like Allison said, on the Madrones property, we have actually independent tasting rooms that are on the property that are operated by others. And then we have a restaurant, which is a new restaurant that was supposed to open right at the beginning of April, right at the end of March, along with our shop and then our cannabis apothecary. And so with the lodging portion of our property, we completed that part of the self-certification and we're uploading it. That's a higher risk business that's on the property. So we had to develop our own plan, like Allison mentioned before. We have a couple slides that we're going to show you on that, and Brian's done really most of the legwork on the self-certifying part of it. On the shop, that's self-certified already. That was pretty straightforward, doing a retail business. The apothecary we treated as a retail business. And then we reached out to Allison today because we also offer some spa services, and that's actually like facials and massages, and those personal services now are able to be offered. We're only going to probably do those for locals at the time being, but we're going to go ahead and have to certify for that portion too. So it's as we've gone through it, it can seem a little daunting at the beginning, but after you do about 3 or 4 of these, it gets a lot easier. So anyway, but Brian can probably answer some questions or talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I will add is, I mean, thank you, Wes, thank you, Allison, thank you, County. The self-certification process itself is quite painless. What is difficult is implementing all the protocols that are required for the self-certification process to happen. So if you have not even started this process, I would certainly encourage you to go online and see what's expected of you before you try to self-certify. You know, there's signage that has to be put up. There's things you have to do for your employees to make sure that they're safe, which Allison already discussed. But definitely go in and see what's expected of you before you intend to go in and self-certify. We just use the county signage, just some points. The county has provided the signage that you need. They did a fantastic job. We just had that color printed and laminated, and that's posted at our businesses. So be sure to check what resources are available to you so that you're not reinventing the wheel, because there's a lot of resources and toolkits out there for you to use. I would also say one of the pitfalls that we ran into is we have our corporation name, and then we also have our DBA name. So, I mean, our corporation is Five Localist, our DBA is the Madrones, or our corporation is Dos Zapatos, and the DBA is the Bohemian Chemist. Be sure that you certify under your DBA name, because that's what you need to post at the entrance to your particular business. And so if you look, you'll see we self-certified, I think, for Dos Zapatos, by Localist, the Madrones, the Rambles. We've done it for everything. We made some errors there first. So you'll just want to certify under your doing business as name. I'm trying to think what else. As Allison said, we have our staff use the Mayo Clinic self-certification guidelines when they come into the business. We also we wanted to keep a record. We thought it was important to keep a record that demonstrated that our employees are taking their temperature, and it was important that they are signing off that they self-certified. So we actually created a release of information for protected health information that says, I am allowing the business to gather my protected health information, which is my temperature, and keep a log of that daily. And it's also equally as important that you make sure you put in there that the employees knows that they can rescind this decision at any time in writing. So make sure that they're signing, that they know that they're releasing this protected health information to you, but also that they can rescind this decision at any time.
Yeah, one thing I would add too, on when you're going through the self-certifying process, it's good to take a look at the outline and the guidelines like Allison said, but it's an opportunity for you to really think about how you're going to move through this pandemic yourself and how you're going to protect your employees. And even though there's guidelines of what is required, you'll have to at least meet those, but you may want to take it a step further and actually do something that that's going to be something you're going to be more comfortable with, your employees are going to be more comfortable with. I know with lodging, our guidelines, when they came out, we were allowed to open up 75% of our lodging units at one time. We have to reserve a couple in case someone actually gets sick while they're on our property, that they can shelter in place or actually stay in place and isolate at that time. And then we also need 24 hours in between one unique set of visitors to another. So we just really rethink the whole thing. It's almost like creating a whole new business. You just have to really be nimble and be able to pivot and to try to think outside the box and take an approach on how this is going to work for you. So I know a lot of lodging properties that are following the protocols. They're going to actually have one guest check out. They're doing 1 or 2 night stays, and then they have another guest check in 24 hours later. We decided to actually just open up the property for starting on a Friday, or if they want to come on a Thursday night. We are limiting it as a minimum of 3-day stays, and we're upselling a 4th and 5th day. And then we're closing off our units, for 3 days so that our housekeepers are safe. We're going to do an ultraviolet light in there at the beginning, but we're going to also follow all the standard sanitation requirements that are required of us to do. And we figure within those 3 days, the virus is hopefully going to be gone if there is any virus that's there. So we kind of took it a step further, and I think actually this business model has worked out pretty well for us, because we're looking at our bookings right now. We're having only 1 unique guest day per guest quarter per week, but we're having a longer stay, so our occupancy and our numbers are pretty good. So it turned out to be kind of a win-win on it. So I think I really encourage people to kind of think outside the box, try to really, navigate how you're going to be, functioning as a business through the pandemic. It's not going away anytime soon. you know, we're planning that we need to at least bridge until next season or next summer, but it could be 18 months that we're all going to be functioning with a new normal. And so those are just some of the things to kind of think about. That was just on the lodging portion of it. So
I would add to what Jim said that, you know, we looked at what the county is requiring is the least restrictive, but we could be more restrictive, just like Jim said. And it was important to us that our employees felt safe and that our community felt safe. And we felt like with the current restrictions, the feedback we were getting from our employees and from our community was that they still were anxious about this. And so that's why we decided to go with a more restricted model. You don't have to do that, but it was important to us to make our community employees feel safe.
And then we have actually like we have something called Valley Hub. So we're located in Anderson Valley, and it's a community on Facebook that actually a lot of people belong to. So once we decided how we were going to approach this and how we were going to slowly reopen, we actually put it out to our community and let them know what we were doing, and let them have a link to our website on our protocols and what our expectations were and how we were going to keep them safe. I think as a business owner, we have a responsibility to our communities that we need to actually be mindful, especially with our business, because we are in a business that we're bringing people from outside of the area into our area. And so far it's worked out really well. So you know, we're completely transparent. We're not trying to do anything against the rules. We're actually really mindful about what we're doing. We want to make sure everyone's safe. So I think that also was received, you know, pretty well. So we did have a couple of slides too.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
There's one that, you know, that we developed for our website. I think Clara, I sent that to you, if you can get that up. And this will just give you an idea of what we posted on our website for people to look at. And I know, you know, it's not required of all businesses to have this, but this is just, we took actually different graphics with it, because we made it pretty quick and simple as far as at least the overview on it. And, but it really outlines the things that we just described. It talked about the room rest in between stays. Of course, everybody's going to be wearing facial coverings, you know, hand cleaning. Temperatures are going to be taken of our guests upon arrival. Our staff is actually, we're going to set a kind of a program where we're going to be regularly tested ourselves. We're trying to get everyone at the Madrones, including the other businesses, to join in with us where we can actually test regularly. And then we also have a set of expectations for our visitors. It's the commitment.
So if you want to move the screen up, Clara, you can see what we're committed to doing for our guests. And then it's what we expect our guests to do when they come and visit us, you know? Yeah,
so I think it's really, and I think it needs to be treated that way. It's like the old, you know, saying, you know, no shirt, no shoes, no service. Well, no mask, no service. You know, I mean, we're not going to be able to get service, but we were able to, we went ahead and purchased masks in case people do come in and they don't have a mask. So we will have masks that we can hand out to them. And with some of your other organizations, I don't know, I know with lodging, we really organized very well. And we had a committee that was just dealing with PPE. So we found hand sanitizer, we found hard to find things that we bought collectively as a group. And so that was a great part of the procurement process for us. But those are all things you have to think about. And you'll see once you start to reopen too, a lot of these things are in short supply. And that's something to also be kind of, you know, conscious about.
So order those early. I think we would have maybe opened a little earlier, but we didn't have our ducks in a row and didn't have all our PPE purchased, and it was taking a while to get these things. So yeah, so make sure that you're ordering those supplies early. Yeah. I think there's some questions in the chat. Clara, is there some questions folks have?
Yes, we do have some questions. If everyone is finished sharing all of your information and everything, and you're ready to move on to the Q&A portion.
Sure, and if anyone wants a copy of what we kind of have posted on our website, Clara, you're more than, you can share that with whoever. It's also posted on our website, www.themadrones.com. If you go under Stay, the Stay drop-down menu, at the bottom is our health and safety precautions. And it's also on a banner at the top of our website that you can click on. It'll take you right to that page.
Great, thank you. Yes, I can absolutely include that PDF in the email that I'll be sending everyone with the slide deck and the recording.
Thanks, Clara. That's great. So do you, should we kick out some of these questions here? Do you want to, I can take them. Let's start. So actually, this is one for you and Jim and Brian. Does the UV light work? Is it ozone or no ozone?
So, Brian, we're still waiting for those. They were supposed to arrive already.
Haven't got them yet.
Are ours ozone or non-ozone?
I think they are ozone,
Ozone.
and they're rated for both bacteria and virus. They also give you a specific amount of time that the UV light needs to be on per square footage. So I think it's like 45 minutes for 600 square feet, and you have to leave it on longer for more. And you know, the bathrooms, it can be on for 15 minutes.
And we're really not doing this in lieu of our regular sanitation and
Right.
sanitizing the rooms. What we're going to do is once the guests check out, this is for our lodging, we'll put on that UV light and have that there. And we're doing that for our housekeepers before they come in. So it's really kind of an added thing before they come in. So we're not using it in lieu of doing standard UV light treatment. I think, you know, our health officer director really didn't want to actually have this as doing this in place of doing regular sanitation. I think because, you know, the technology with it, it has to be used properly. The room that it goes into, you know, there may be shadowing in certain parts of the room that it's not going to get to. It's such an, it's you know, it's not an exact science. I think when they're using it in medical offices, they've gone through a lot more research to see how this would work within a medical office. But these ones that are kind of being sold on the internet, I think that it's just, there's a lot of variables that you're talking about. But we think it's an added precaution. So we're doing it in addition to our normal.
Right. Well, of course, a medical office is a very different animal than a hotel room. You know,
Right.
They don't have beds.
Exactly, totally, right.
So here's one from Marion who asks if Lake County is doing something like this. I don't know the answer to that question. I know that Mendocino County is kind of one of the leaders of the pack in this type of self-certification. So I would encourage you to contact your Lake County people and ask if they plan to put something in place like this. I believe Sonoma County is doing this as well. In terms of, James asks, where is the high-risk self-certification business listing located? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, Clara, and if I can get to where that is, I will show you where that is. Not very easily, apparently, but yes, continue. There we go. I'm going to go here, and is my screen live, Clara? I can't.
No, you need to share it with us.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had.
Not a problem.
My bad technological. Here we go. Is that working now?
Have you hit
There we
share
go.
screen?
Here we go.
Perfect.
Here we go. Okay, so I've got all kinds of things open here. If you go to, let me see, let me go back here. Okay, so on the MendocinoCountyBusiness.org web page, we've broken it out into high-risk sectors. If I scroll down, these are moderate risk sectors, and these were the first businesses to open. And these have recommendations for safe business practices. They don't have a requirement to upload a health and safety plan. So these are the specific health and safety forms for these higher risk businesses. And we now have them in Spanish as well, which is really great. So when you go to self-certify, you will select your industry, the first, I don't know, down to zoos, museums, galleries, and aquariums, these are the higher risk categories. So that's where if you select, say, a hair salon and barbershop, you will get this window to upload your plan. Lower risk businesses don't get that window. So if you're a farmer and you're growing something, you won't get that option or the requirement actually to upload that that business, that health and safety plan. So it's a requirement for those high risk businesses. So hopefully that answered that question for James. Let's go back. Any other questions, Clara, while I figure out how to get back to my screen?
Yes, we've got plenty of questions here. And of course, if anyone has questions right now, now's the time to put them in the chat box. All right, so let's see, we've got several questions. Let's see, we have an anonymous question. Are there any plans to address the environmental problems the protocols are creating? Specifically thinking of all the plastic bags used at Safeway, since we're not allowed to bring bags from home, also the toxic chemicals that are in some of the sanitizers, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's a great question. It doesn't come under this particular purview, but that's something that perhaps the county can think about. Maybe it's a discussion with the public health officer to see about what any way forward for that. I must admit, I'm not too happy about those plastic bags either, and wish they would use paper bags.
I know with us, with the restaurant, one thing that we did is we are going to be doing some picnicking, so we went ahead and went with compostable, you know, plates, compostable silverware, that sort of thing, because we're really conscious about that too. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
There's one here from Sus down in Wallala. Nice to have you on this call. So he says, our sculpture garden has reopened. We've closed off the picnic area and portion of the garden. Are groups allowed to have picnics or lunches or small events now? So it's complicated. You can have a stable unit of 12 people in a social bubble. So if you and or the two families create a social bubble so that kids can play together, they could go to Wallala Arts and have a picnic in your grounds, but you cannot have small events. Events are still, and gatherings are still prohibited by the state, and at this time we don't have any indication of when those might open again. You know, it's a definite problem, especially for live events, for things like weddings or festivals. Those just aren't on the books right now. So, but you can have people, social bubbles, stable units can come to Wallala Arts and enjoy the beautiful grounds there. What else do we have, Clara?
Let's see, I just want to make sure James's question was answered. He says, I understand that there's a place to go and see the businesses that have certified and see their self-certification documents.
Yes.
Would Allison take it away? Yeah,
that's on the Mendocino County Business.org website. And on the left-hand navigation bar, you'll see currently, I think it's currently self-certified businesses. And those with a live link, you can click the link and look at their business plan. I do know that the county is working on a process to review those plans to make sure people aren't uploading blank documents. But so there is a process being put into place for that.
And that's a good tool too. That's what we did. You know, we actually looked at some other businesses that had already self-certified. Not that we wanted to copy what someone else has done, but just to get an idea of formatting. There were some things that we could pull from there, so that will actually save you a bit of time right there if you think they apply to your business. And our business are in. Well, Brian was just saying I haven't gotten that one up yet, but that's gonna be going up later today. We have all the documents. We're just waiting for something from our webmaster. So.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, that actually is a really good point, because that's what I did for myself is like, I looked at some other people's and, you know, it helps you not recreate the wheel, so that you're not spinning your own wheels trying to figure out how other people have done things. So
I would just add to that, Allison, that I noticed some businesses are literally taking the template and answering the question specifically, which is a super great and simple way to do it. We elected to do a different approach, which is kind of downloading, you know, screenshots from our website, etc., and those will be uploaded. So we that way I didn't have to rewrite, you know, in a different format all the things that I'd already written. But as I understand, either one of those methods is equally acceptable as long as you are addressing the issues that are noted in the initial worksheet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can create your own, you know, this is what I'm doing document, or just do respond to the questions or descriptions that we ask for in those forms. Either way is perfectly acceptable.
Wonderful. Thank you. We've got just a couple more questions. Let's see, from Lisa. How do you know if a group of 12 is a social bubble and not a group of friends or other? Who enforces this?
Well,
good question.
That's a great question. There's no social bubble enforcement unit as far as I know, but hey, it's a thought, you know. I think that people, you know, we need to trust that people are being cognizant of the fact that this is a very transmittable disease. I know personally that we have formed a social bubble with a group of 6 to 8 friends, and we don't socialize outside of that group. There's no way to tell. There really is no way to tell, but I think it's Dr. Doohan's answer to eliminating large groups of people coming together at one time. And we've seen the consequences of that over the last couple of weeks with graduation parties and church services in the Ukiah Valley, which have caused a spike in our cases in the county. So, you know, it's partly about trust, and you know, this is about caring for other people. It's really is about caring for each other and our community, and we just hope that you know, that people are cognizant of the facts around the disease and not listen to the non-scientific descriptions of what it can and can't do.
Right, and I think that we did kind of a similar thing too. We actually, our new chefs are also our business partners in the restaurant. And so we kind of sheltered in place with them a little bit. They lived on the property for a while, and we became close. And so that's who we were with. So I think, you know, we're going to have a couple communal tables in the back at the outdoor seating at the restaurant. And those communal tables will be for groups that are, and we, you know, I think that when it comes to a mask and someone coming into an indoor space, I'm going to police them for sure. Outside, and if they're in a small group or whatever, dining with us, I think you got to, like Allison said, you got to just trust that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. Yep.
Great. Well, thank you all. If there are any other questions, we might have time for another one. But in the meantime, just before folks start leaving, because we're almost at the top of the hour, I'm going to go ahead and put up the poll. Unless there's any other questions before we finish up.
Here's something that's interesting in the chat that goes to the environmental question. At Fort Bragg Harvest Market, you can take your groceries out to your car in the cart and then load your items into your own cloth bags to take home, so you can avoid using plastic or paper bags. So apparently somebody else says you can do that at Safeway as well. So that's a great idea for signage for grocery stores, that is an option. And thank you for that. That's a great idea. And I'm actually going to propose that at a couple of stores that I frequent.
Absolutely. Every bit helps. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So real quick now, everyone, I'm just going to put up a poll while we finish up. It'll just have a couple of quick questions. If you could please answer, and then I can move on to the next portion. In the meantime, I want to say a big thank you to Allison, Brian, Jim. Thank you so much for the information. It's really helpful. I hope we can do another one of these soon when we get a new set of rules, new set of outlines and guidelines so that everyone can be informed and we can safely reopen, keep our businesses going, and make sure that people can come and participate. I also want to let everyone know that at West Business Development Center, we have a COVID page both in English and in Spanish. We do our very best to keep it updated daily. So if there's any new news, it'll be on that page, and you can see that at westcenter.org, and it's at the top banner. I do also want to remind everyone that in the next couple of days, I will be sending out an email. It'll have the slide deck, the PDF, as well as a recording of this. So if you need to think back or remember any of the information, that'll be in your inbox in just a couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, thank you all so much. I'm going to launch just one more poll. It's just a one question poll, and it really helps us learn what webinar we should offer next, or what workshop we should offer next. So if you're interested in any of these topics, please feel free to answer. It really helps us know what you all are interested in and what we can help provide you. You're the small business owners and the entrepreneurs. We are here for you to help provide for you. So I'm just going to leave that up for a couple of seconds.
I'm going to put in one more plug too for the West Business Development Center. I think it's a really good resource. They've been instrumental, and I know with the lodging group of owners, they've been able to host our roundtables on a weekly basis. And they're a great resource if you're a small business, and they get their funding through people signing up as a client. And I encourage a lot of you to do that because there's a lot of resources there. And they've been doing so much for the community, and they do need to also survive. So I think actually if you could sign up for a client, that's really important.
Thanks, guys. Yes, we have a wide variety of advisors who can help you from anything from small general business questions to something more complicated, HR, COVID-19, loans, PPP. We are here to help. We're here to help you. Again, the small business owners and entrepreneurs of Mendocino and Lake County. We'll do what we can. So I'm just going to leave that up for a couple more seconds, make sure everyone gets a chance to answer. And then we can call it a lovely afternoon. Well, I mean, it's a bit foggy over here on the coast, but inland, inland I hear it's lovely.
It's hot.
It's a little hot today.
Well, thank you, everybody who joined this, and I hope it was helpful. Please go to MendocinoCountyBusiness.org, and please reach out if you have any questions or concerns about how to do this certification or your plan or what have you. We're here to help.
Indeed.
Thank you, Clara and Allison.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.